So today's story time is definitely a wild one. Yeah, judging by the title, I'm sure you can see that. There's really no other way to start this other than just starting it, so let's do it. Today's story time is about a couple different things. Hope you enjoy it. Leave a like on the video if you do. Let's get into it. So, today's story time all starts off when I was 16 years old. The last couple stories have all been from when I was 16. I don't know what to say. It was just an interesting year to say the least. And I had this friend back when I was 16. We'll just call him AJ, okay? AJ, good friend of mine, met him in kindergarten. Still friends with him to this day. And AJ had a pretty big family. It was him, he had four brothers, all younger than him, which sounds like a fucking nightmare if you think about it. Like, imagine growing up with four little brothers. I don't know, man. That just sounds really, really chaotic. If any of you have that in your life, let me know how that is. But it sounds pretty chaotic, right? And it was chaotic. Every time I go over there was just a bunch of little kids running around, screaming, crying, throwing shit at each other, wrestling. Like, it was just always, like, smackdown in that bitch. It was crazy. And, yeah, AJ would invite me over from time to time, and I'd go over there, and we'd just kind of play Halo and chill. But I would always appreciate when AJ would come to my house because we didn't have to look after his little brothers. Because almost every time me and AJ were over at his house, his parents would go out somewhere. They'd go out somewhere together because they knew that they had, two older boys in the house and they could watch the kids. So basically, yeah, every time I'd go over to AJ's house, his parents would dip and be like, "Hey, can you guys watch the little ones? Like, we'll be back in a couple hours. We're going on a date night." And then we'd have to sit there on the couch and make sure that the four little brothers didn't kill each other. And one day, AJ invited me over when I was 16 years old. He called me up. He was like, "Yo, man, you want to come over tonight? My parents are gone having dinner. I'm bored as hell. I'm going to be here for 2 or 3 hours by myself. You want to come hang?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, for sure." So I went over to AJ's house. My mom dropped me off. I went inside. And I walked into a psychotic situation. I walked in there. Two of his little brothers were on the couch wrestling. The other two were throwing shit at each other. AJ was in between the two that were throwing shit at each other. AJ also had two German shepherds that were barking at each other. It was just chaos when I walked in that house. And I was just like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" And AJ's like, "What's up, Austin? Just shut the door behind you so the dogs don't get out." I'm like, "Okay." So I close the door. I go over to AJ. I help him break up the argument that's, happening between his little brothers that were throwing shit at each other. Then after that, I helped him break up the wrestling match between the other two little brothers. And eventually the chaos settled down, right? We finally got everything under control. And then it was just a normal hangout sesh. It was just me, AJ, playing some Halo. His little brothers were just sitting on the couch watching. Things were finally normal, right? Now, about a couple hours later, it was getting pretty late at night, and it was time for AJ's little brothers to be put to bed. So me and AJ went and put his brothers to bed. We walked them upstairs. We helped them brush their teeth. We made sure they washed their hands, their faces, and we got them in bed, right? And after that, I thought, okay, good. The night is now going to be normal. Everything's going to be fine. Now me and AJ can just kick it until his parents get back. And, the babysitting is over, right? It's all good. Oh, I was so wrong. I was so fucking wrong. Fast forward an hour later. None of the kids can sleep. They keep coming downstairs and asking for stuff. First, one of them came down and was like, "Hey, I want a glass of fruit punch." And we're like, "You can't have fruit punch. There's sugar in it. You need to go to bed." He said, "Well, I want fruit punch." And we're like, "Too bad. You get water. Go to bed." And he's just like, "No, I want fruit punch." He started crying. He smacked the water out of AJ's hand he was trying to give him. It spilled everywhere. AJ yelled at him. He started crying more. And that took about 30 minutes to get that kid settled down and then, up to bed again. And because of him screaming and crying, the other ones all came down after that. And they were like, "Is everything okay? We heard crying." And we're like, "No, we're good. He couldn't sleep and he's good now." And of course, all the other kids wanted something to eat and started asking us for something to eat and drink. And we had to tell them no because they already ate dinner. And then they started kind of freaking out a bit. And it was just a nightmare, right? Well, finally, we get them all to bed again. And about 30 minutes later, me and AJ are on the couch just watching TV. And then all of a sudden, we start hearing footsteps. And 5 seconds later, we see his little brother come down the stairs. It's his youngest one. And he has something in his hand that I couldn't quite make out at first. It looked like a dark object. I thought it was a toy at first. But then I realized very quickly it was not a toy. It was a legit pistol. A handgun in this little kid's hand. Like a 6-year-old kid holding a handgun. He turns the corner and he points it at me and AJ. And he's like, "Look what I got." And immediately AJ gets up and tackles him. and goes, "Where the fuck did you get that?" And he starts screaming and crying, this like 6-year-old kid. And he's like, "I got it from mommy's room. It's from mommy's room." Well, yeah, come to find out, he went into their room, the parents' room, to their gun safe, and he knew the code. I guess the code was like some simple shit like 1111 or 1234, and the kid saw it one day and remembered it. So he just went in there and opened it up and pulled out one of the pistols, like just super casually, and he came downstairs with it and pointed it at us, thinking it was a toy. So after AJ disarmed his little brother and told him that guns are very bad, that is deadly, and you can't point that at people or touch it in general, the kid realized his mistake and was like, "Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know." And he really didn't know. It wasn't his fault. He didn't know it was like a deadly weapon. He probably thought it was just something that his parents had. Or maybe he did know it was a gun. He just didn't understand how serious guns are. But either way, it's not his fault. He's a 6-year-old kid. The real person to blame is the fucking parents who had a gun safe in the wide open under their bed, pretty much, and with a very easy code to get into. So like an hour later, after the kids are asleep, the parents come home, and AJ proceeds to bitch his mom out so hard. He's like, "Are you fucking stupid? Like, that kid came downstairs with a fucking gun and pointed it at me and my friend. Like, what if he pulled the trigger and killed one of us? Like, how does he know the code? Like, what's wrong with you? You guys are ridiculous." And the parents started saying sorry a bunch to me and him and, apologizing. They said they were going to change the code on the gun safe and move it. And they did. And they definitely seemed to understand that they fucked up very hard and we're going to learn from it. Oh, also, they told us that the gun wasn't loaded, which is good. That's obviously really good. But they are so lucky that it wasn't loaded, or that there wasn't one sitting in the chamber and the kid, like, pulled the trigger or something. Like, it could have gone so bad so quickly, and luckily it didn't. And AJ acted quickly and got the gun out of the kid's hands. So, all in all, it all ended up being okay. But that is some shit that should never happen in anyone's house, ever. So, like, in the end, the kids learned a valuable lesson about gun safety. The parents also learned a valuable lesson about gun safety. And I can't lie, I didn't go to AJ's house for, like, a month after that, because I was just too burnt out on his little brothers and how crazy they are and how everything just is always insane over there. So, yeah, we hung out at my house for a little bit. But yeah, moral of the story is, guys, don't be stupid like AJ's parents were in this story, or like his little brother. No offense to him, I know he's a little kid, but, that was still pretty stupid. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed the story time. Definitely a crazy one. Yeah, if it went any other way, I might have not been here today to tell you this story, because I got put into a grave by a child. I hope you guys enjoyed the story time. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below, and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys all later. Peace.